Morning, everyone. I appreciate all of you being here. We're talking about a subject today that is really near and dear to me, and that's how we grow this state, grow opportunities, create a state so that our children and grandchildren can choose to stay here because they can get a good paying job and they can raise their family. We know that Nebraska has so many good things, but frankly, we're going to have to think differently about how we grow job opportunities. And so I'll add my thanks to the senators who were able to make it here, or for those of you who are representing either state or federal officials. So thank you very much for being here. So when I think about the University of Nebraska and the opportunity to grow our state, I automatically move to what we're already doing. We're focused on pressing local and global issues. We are, is that ringing a little bit? Does that help? We're focusing on issues that really matter in this state. We're doing really important work, whether it is educating the next group of teachers who are going into the classroom. We're focused on making this the best state in the country to be a baby. If you think about the economics in this state, the growing amount of poverty, I don't think that we can act fast enough. The fact of the matter is that young children growing up in poverty, here on the average, so a child growing up in poverty hears on the average 20 million fewer words by age 5 than the affluent child. And if you look at what's happened with the number of children growing up in poverty in the state of Nebraska over the last 10 years, it's growing at an alarming rate. And so you just carry that out and understand what the economy looks like, because if you're not kindergarten ready, then the chances that you're going to read proficiently by the end of the 3rd grade significantly diminishes. If you can't read proficiently by the end of the 3rd grade, the chance that you're going to go to prison or be a high school dropout grows exponentially. So just that one fact just that one reason is important for us to be here. But we're also focused, Mike and his team are incredibly focused on food and water security. You think about what's happening across the globe. 7.2 billion people today. In another 25 years, we'll move to 9.5 billion people. We're going to have to produce twice as much food because much of that population growth is going to demand more nutritious food. So doing that with less water, and you think about just the state of California, how does the state of California deal with their water issues without taking ag offline in the San Joaquin Valley? If that happens, what does that mean for food production just in the U.S.? It's scary. But with all of that, the good news is we are doing really amazing work. We are producing 11,000 graduates a year. We need to produce more. We are a university of 53,000 students. We need to be larger. We don't need to grow just for the sake of growing, but the only way that we bring in better job opportunities, in my view, is to grow the number of graduates. The only way that we attract jobs in is to grow those graduates. So I know you're going to spend a lot of time talking today about growing the state, and I want to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into what's coming over the next couple of months. For the past year or so, I've been working on designing a statewide economic development strategy. We don't have a statewide strategy now, at least not one as robust as it needs to be. And so this strategy can't be the university strategy, it can't be a policymaker strategy, it can't be Lincoln strategy or Omaha strategy. It has to be a strategy for business, by business. And so the details around this plan will be, first, understand our state. You can't really think about growing from where you are unless you really understand yourself. And so when I think about understanding the state of Nebraska, what do educational outcomes look like? What does workforce look like? What does housing look like? What does infrastructure look like, from roads and bridges? What do the arts look like? What do those things look like that allow us to keep our businesses that are here and grow them, or attract businesses from out of state? And so once you understand yourself, then it's sort of like game planning for an athletic event. So the next thing you have to do is really understand your competitor states. We compete with some number of states, 8, 10, 15 states. We don't compete with Florida. We don't compete with New York. We compete with a group of states for jobs and opportunities. So understanding which states those are, and then understanding them as well as you understand yourself. Once you do that, then you can understand where you fall in the pecking order. So we may not be able to attract a Toyota, for example, because we're not competitive in incentive packages, or we can't pull together a land deal, or whatever the case may be. But at least we understand what we can and can't do. And part of this summit, Mike, in my view, is to start really better understanding ourselves. We've been spending a lot of time understanding our research capacity. When we did the same process in Mississippi, and it brought in Nissan and Toyota. And we spent a lot of money buying those companies. And the first time we brought in Nissan, I said, why in the world would we spend $300 or $400 million in state money when the rest of the state is really struggling? And then when you figure out that that brings in 10,000 jobs, and then all of the supporting companies that have to come in to support the manufacturing company, another 20 companies that bring in another 10 to 15,000 jobs, and you aren't giving them any incentives. And so really this growing our state phenomenon really is about understanding who we are, understanding what our capabilities are, and specifically the capabilities of the university to bring the full weight of the university to bear. And so as we think about how we grow the innovation campus, it's been really important that we understand what kinds of companies that we can attract there, how we can support them, and how we can reach out into the business, to the business community. And so I'll just close by saying this. It is absolutely clear to me that we can't cut our way to greatness. We all know that we are facing fiscal stress. And the University of Nebraska has been has been a good partner and will continue to be a good partner. But if we're going to grow out of this, we've got to think very differently about what the future might look like. And frankly, in our darkest days is when we need the best thinking, and that's why I'm so delighted, Mike, that you and your team pulled this together, because we could take the sort of woe is me attitude as a university and not think about what could be. Many states during this time, during times of fiscal stress, do just the opposite. They try to hunker down and they just try to figure out how to maintain what they have. We are on a great trajectory. And the worst thing that could happen to us during this time is to not keep our eye over the horizon and not think about what the future holds, not think about what opportunities are, because if there are other states that will do that and will be left behind. And so I'm glad that the university is thinking differently about what the future could look like. I'm glad that we are hyper-focused on the future. Mike, thank you and your team, Jesse and others for doing this. I hope you have a great day today. Let's dream big about what the future could be today, and let's challenge the ideas that come up, and let's find the best pathway forward for our children, our grandchildren. Thanks again for being here.